All right, you may take it away now.
No, you can take it away now.
Welcome to the Introspection and Banter. I'm Anthony,
I'm Gabe.
and tonight we
I'm
have a
Zack.
guest.
Zack, yes, hi.
Hi, I'm Zack, aka your friendly neighborhood Z Money.
You know, there's gonna be one day where we can actually start the podcast and actually get everything down, padded correctly, and not interrupt each other.
It's
Yeah.
true that I was waiting for Zack to speak for a minute there.
Yeah, I spoke and then I was like, oh dang, I cut him off.
Should we re-record it?
I don't know. I like the scuffness of it.
All right, we'll leave it then.
Mm.
So, Z Money, how do you decide to spend your free time?
So I spend my free time playing video games, playing D&D, researching things. I spend it doing various things that I feel passionate about. Also the undiagnosed ADHD in me, I hyperfixate on some things too. But I spend it watching movies and TV shows with my significant other, and I watch a lot of Hell's Kitchen and Dance Moms occasionally, and a new show called Drink Master. It's pretty good. I recommend it.
D&D, you're a nerd.
Yes.
See, what you're saying is you spend a lot of time with your hobbies.
Yes, I spend a lot of time with various hobbies. I used to spend a lot of time with my fraternity, but not as much anymore.
So do you tend to I know D&D is it's gonna be a group thing, but typically when you're having, I guess, spending time with your hobbies, do you prefer to be with people or without people?
So my hobbies and being around people, it depends on the hobby, but most of the time I do enjoy the company of people. Like if I'm on PlayStation, I enjoy being in a party. If I'm on the computer, I just like that to know someone's there and I can talk about whatever, like, oh, I'm fighting this boss, I can talk to him about it. Or if I'm watching a show, just being able to have that conversation with someone can carry me a long way.
I think Anthony, you and I are the opposite, right?
In what way?
I think both of us don't prefer to be around a lot of people. I could be wrong.
I would agree. Knowing Zack, I mean, I've known him quite a bit to be far more extroverted than me, especially you, Gabe. I know you're a little more introverted than me. Well, sometimes, there are certain people I've seen you come out way more in certain groups. But yes, we're introverted.
Yeah, given the option to hang out or hang out by myself, I'm gonna always pick hang out by myself.
It depends on the people, I'd say, and the situation.
Yeah, I think I have one or two people where I'm I'm more willing to go out with than I am with others.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've hung out. There's only one friend I have around me that I actually hang out, I guess, frequently with, and everyone else I don't think I've seen in months.
Zack, how do you see yourself in that way?
So I see myself as an ambivert. I am extroverted, but I do have introverted tendencies. I'm often asked, do I want to go to the bar? Do I want to go out to this place? Do I want? But a lot of the times when it comes down to uh, hours where I can just have free time, I normally just like to spend it inside the house. I'm not the first one to be like, let's go to the bar anymore. I'm not. I rather drink in-house because I have my games, my music, and I don't have to be surrounded, I guess, by a ton of people and spend a bunch of money that I don't need to spend. I feel like the way that I've changed about that has come from maturity or me just not wanting to go out and talk to a bunch of people. I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, for me at least, the older I've gotten, the less I've wanted to spend with people.
Oh yeah, no, I feel that. I feel that definitely for sure.
Yeah, most of my hobbies, things I do in my free time, all revolve around me staying in my room. They don't require any other person.
Can you tell me more about why You've decided that as you've grown older?
Oh, I just don't like people. The more time I've spent around people, the more I realize I just don't like people, like in general. Working retail, I think, will definitely like shift your view on the human race.
Oh, you think that's part of it?
That most definitely is part of it.
Okay, because I always try to find company. And that like I feel too secluded, and I actually love being around people. Sometimes I enjoy being alone, but that's like every now and then. But I always look for situations to talk to people, hang out with people. One thing that I hate too is like I don't have people to discuss certain movies and books I read because I
it's
do that a lot.
it's like the opposite for me. I actively try to figure out excuses and ways to not hang out with people purposely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just me. Like I don't. It's too much energy to like actually hang out with people.
Okay.
To have to pretend to be like upbeat and like
Yeah.
have a conversation with people.
I think I know what you mean a little bit. I used to have decently bad anxiety about certain things. Like I couldn't even make phone calls. I just well, I could, but just phone calls terrified me. Um, at a certain point, I just I didn't grow out of it. I just learned to change my mindset about that sort of thing and really think like, why does it matter?
You know, those sort of things. It's always great to like fake it till you make it. You know?
Yeah, and eventually you do get good at it.
Yeah.
And if you're in certain peer groups, it helps too. Because I found certain peer groups that really helped me grow.
Yeah. I know. Like for you and me, we became friends through mutual friends. No.
Yeah, because I was friends with your roommate.
And then one day I just actually got out of my room for the first time in a while and started hanging out with you, and that's how we became friends. We realized we had some really similar hobbies. I think it was.
Oh yeah, because I remember you were really big into just random films. And I'm just like, I'll watch some films with you.
Yeah, that became a
And
tradition, didn't it?
oh, anime! Like we both loved anime, just random crap like that. Yeah, dude, we watched so many films.
Oh, those were the good old days.
Oh, we had so much time back in college.
I miss that. That's the other issue is like I don't have enough time to even hang out with people anyway.
Yeah, his your time management at like how do you think that's changed?
Bro, so for me at least, I work like about 50 hours a week, maybe a little bit more than that
Yeah,
typically. And so by the time I get out of work, it's like I don't even want to hang out with anyone. I just want to go to sleep. Like I don't do anything. I don't even like watch or read any books. We don't watch anime. I just go straight to bed most days.
yeah. So it's
The
very
most
draining for you.
It's very draining for me. And the worst part is like my schedule is also like the opposite of everyone else's. So I work overnight and everyone's awake during the day and I'm the only one sleeping during the day.
That's pretty true. I know like just time for us to come back to the podcast has been difficult for us.
Yeah. I'm going from a weekly schedule to now a monthly schedule.
Yeah. Oh, isn't too bad being that like I work days, so I can well, we can manage a Saturday monthly to record.
Yeah. How about you, Zach? You have problems with time?
Time management. I I find that I'm actually really bad with time management, and there's actually a story that I have with that. Is that I had to go to a Greek 101 like basic learning about before I officially joined my fraternity. They're like, you got to go to this seminar thing, and they have a bunch of speakers. It's all day and stuff. And the one part I left during part of the day, and I came back, and I said, I asked my friend, I was like, which panel did I miss? And they were like, time management. And the reason I had to leave is because I had to move my car because I didn't manage my time properly and move it before I got there. Okay, so I laughed. I was like, I literally had to move my car because of my time management and ended up missing the time management panel. So yeah, my time management is not exactly the greatest. I think I'm maybe getting a little better here and there, and when I have alarms set or I have people to like remind me like, yo, you're gonna be late or something like that, you gotta go now. But otherwise, I'm not the greatest at it.
You're also really young too, so you got some time to work on it.
That's true.
Yeah.
Ironically.
He is still young. I mean, he's in college. Is there anything that you think you can do to better manage your time?
Well, like I was saying before, you can set alarms. You can, if you have like a whiteboard, you can write on that for reminders. You can even set your clock,
A
okay?
journal?
So, oh yeah, you can journal as well. But if you have a clock, okay, you can change the time on it so that you that it's forward. So it's like, oh snap, it's like 2:15. You gotta be there, okay? And it's on your phone. It says it's like 2:10 or something like that, and you've changed it like 10 or 15 minutes, and like so you leave earlier because you think you're gonna be later. You know,
Yeah.
it's like in a way. You know what
I
I'm
don't
saying?
know. I'm more of a person that shows up on time. I don't show up early. If I show up early, it's like 5, 10 minutes. I'm not showing up crazy early.
Mm.
Normally I show up about on time. It's about a couple minutes early. I normally they say to show up 15 minutes early for something. So,
Like an
but
interview? No. If I do that, they're gonna think I'm a tryhard, and I'd rather give them expectations.
I mean, people show up to class. I know people who show up to class really early. So, like, I get there and I'm like, wow, the classroom's pretty much filled. So,
I walk
Mm.
in behind the teacher. I'm like, let me shut the door, teach. They're like, oh please. They're like, wow, you came to class today. I'm lying about that, by the way.
That's funny. I was gonna say, I feel like a lot of people don't have like a lot of time to like really do much, at least once they become adults.
Definitely not.
I
Do you
like,
remember summer as like I mean we every week of summer how free you probably were if you were the same child that like I was.
yeah. Summer when I was a kid was always the best because it was like I had nothing to do.
Quite literally. I got bored.
And then they started doing that, oh, you gotta have homework during the summer bullshit. And I was like, what the fuck? That wasn't the
Well,
plan.
some go to an honors school.
This was before I went to the honor
Oh
school.
really? Okay.
Yeah, oh, so they used to give us homework before the honor school, and then they would never check it. So I was the only like dumbass who actually did it during the summer. So I'm like, what the fuck? And then I get to the honor school, and they're like, yeah, we're actually gonna check it. I'm like, well, fuck, gotta do it. I think the worst part of it was like, I guess people didn't expect kids to put effort into it. So when I fucking put effort into it, they would always accuse me of cheating somehow.
That's it. What?
Yeah, like I remember doing well, for one summer I had to write uh analysis of The Old Man and the Sea, and they literally like not too subtly told me like there's no way you actually like did this. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I didn't spend like 2 weeks working on that shit just for you to like tell me that it's not like my work. That
Yeah,
really pissed me off.
that does suck. Gabe, I'm curious. Did you see yourself as a gifted like were you a gifted student?
Oh, like those ex gifted students that you always hear about. Like
Yeah, I was wondering if you related to that at all.
a lot, yeah. The where everyone as like a young kid tells you how like smart you are and bullshit, so you get high grades, and then the more time you spend getting older, like you start
Yeah.
to like burn yourself out. Those
Yes.
A's start to turn to B's, and then they turn to C's,
C's,
and then you get to like fucking
high
college,
school, college.
and you're just like, I fucking hate my life.
Like I thought I was smart. What the
Yeah,
fuck is this?
that was my whole like high school
I
experience, was me like realizing like I'm a fucking idiot, and like I'm not actually like I came to realization that everyone was bullshitting me as a kid, and I felt like I was not only like the dumbest person in the room, but that I also hated myself for it.
I hope you've changed your mindset since
Uh,
then
I, I
because
have I have not.
I don't think that's true. I think it's maybe they shouldn't have told you you were the smartest person. Maybe you were a hard worker because issue I had is people always told me I'm smart, like I'm super smart or something like that, and I'm just like, shit, like am I really? Like maybe I am. Like I figured out some math problems like super quick. Oh wow, maybe the other kids didn't. Like damn, maybe this is smart for a second grader. Or wow, I'm reading at fifth grade level. Okay, but like you don't need to keep up with everybody, and what it's it's the other thing too with being like possibly gifted is sometimes you need to work harder to achieve the same thing because like maybe you can strive further with a certain goal.
I know for me, by the time I got to college, I gave up.
I haven't given up on anything.
Like I think like you like we were in the same classes for where you saw how I treated my papers. Fucking remember our Native American history
I
class?
know you did quite well on those, very well, better than me.
Mm.
Is that like what like made you want to change your major a little bit too?
What the oh, I felt like I couldn't do astronomy. And I realized after a while that the only reason why I was doing astronomy was because as a little kid I expressed interest in it, and then people kept telling me, yeah, he's gonna be an astronomer when he grows up, and I felt the pressure to actually do that, even though I wasn't really interested anymore.
I mean, that is a thing I want to dive into a little bit. I don't know if we should get into it now or later, but if you actually think about it, a lot of what you do, like no matter what in life, it has to do with your peers. Like your goals in life, if you think about it, they stem from your peers. Like everything you do has to do with your peers.
Mm.
Because if it was just you, your goals would really just be to like just off of Maslow's hierarchy.
Maslow's hierarchy.
Yeah.
Explain that to me.
What do you mean? Just eat, sleep, poop. I know sex is arguably in there too.
Arguably.
I mean, what else? Is there anything else you wanted to know about that?
No. I just wanted you to explain it to
I
the
mean, do you
audience.
see what I mean?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I like after college, I realized I don't really care anymore about what people thought of me or any expectations they had for me. That time I transferred out of like Pennsylvania. I don't know. I guess I don't know if burnt out is the word for it, but I kind of burnt out. I switched majors at that point to something that I actually cared about doing.
I
No,
I switched majors too.
yeah, I noticed for me like it was my grades like heavily improved after switching majors.
Oh, dude, I had the dean's list.
Yeah, so did I. Like the moment I left PA and switched over to the actual major I wanted to pursue, like I started making dean's lists consecutively, and I was like, oh, so this is what happiness looks like.
Gosh, I forgot what I was gonna say.
What did you forget? How about you, Zach?
Oh, okay.
Officially, it's English.
Okay. What kind of? I don't know if you want to get if you want to Zach go first, but I know like me as an English major, people were like, "Oh, like are you going to teach?" I'm like, "No, I actually like I'm looking into publishing and that sort of thing. Like I'm interested in English just in general. Like I love stories.
Yeah, it's the same for me.
It's always been a social dilemma to me because they're like, "Oh, like you want to teach or something?" It's like, "Fuck no."
I hate children.
No, I mean I have no issue with teaching. I'd probably teach higher level though.
I hate children, so
All
I
right,
wouldn't
all right.
at
Should
any
we go
age.
to Zach then?
Yeah, go to Zach.
Uh, so as far as majors and things of that nature, I find myself to be a pretty ambitious person, and I switched my majors a couple of times for various different reasons. I've gone from an English major to a psychology major to exercise science. At one point, I was fashion because I have lost interest, gained interest in different things, and because of that, I switched my major. The major that I felt that resonated with me the most was exercise science, and that is what I am currently. I love the fitness world. I'm hoping next semester I can bring up my GPA, and I'm hoping to just get better in my academic career and eventually graduate because I'd really like to do that. Also, you were talking about the burnout as like honors, student and stuff like that. I will say when I was younger, I felt like I was really smart. I was doing like the accelerator reader program, and I felt like I was somewhat above the academic standard at the time. But I felt like as I got older, everyone else either got to my level or I felt like a little bit just dumber. By the time I reached high school, it felt like everyone was almost above my level. In college, it just it's hard. Academia is hard.
It's always
Well, I mean, yeah, as you get older, it's hard. Like you got to balance time, but then you have other issues too. I remember 90% of the time I was in college, I was worried about paying my rent.
oh my
Shit like that. I don't
Oh
even
yeah,
know what else.
paying
yeah.
bills definitely is a big concern. Managing relationships with people, trying to find hobbies, social interactions. If you're working, if
If
you're
you're in
taking 16,
clubs, if you're
if you're in
working,
clubs, fraternities, you're taking like 20 credits, balancing other life problems and doing your schoolwork at the same time, that's the real challenge there. And I feel like when you graduate, you know, it's a lot. It's like climbing a mountain, you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny too. If you ask a lot of people, working is way easier than school, but you have less time.
Yeah. I agree with that.
I'd agree too. My job is, I'm not gonna say it's simple because I've just gotten good at it, but it's nowhere near as strenuous as school.
Yeah. I mean, like, I spend more time at work than I did at school, but dealing with work is a lot more simpler than like having to like deal with like 5 different essays due by certain end of a
Yeah.
week, things like that.
Oh yeah. I feel like if I lost my, that would suck, but I just like, well shit. All right, guess I gotta get another job. Like getting kicked out of school
Yeah.
sounds way more stressful than losing my job. But I'm not
Well,
hurting for money right now, so.
to be fair, it's like it would hurt if you were kicked out of like after spending like 20,000 fucking dollars
Oh yeah.
compared to like a job which you get lost. It's like, okay, I lost the income, but I can find something else. It's
Well,
annoying.
to be
Hmm.
fair, if you lost your job, okay, it's like, yeah, I lost this position, but you got kicked out of college, okay? It's like, yo, I lost out on pursuing my degree because you still have the degree if you lose your job, right? So there's the thing there. You can go find another job, maybe at the same pay rate or higher, you know?
Hmm.
I'm curious. So most people are anywhere around 18 to 23. How impactful do you think college, like that time at least, has been for you?
Well, at the end of your developmental years, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's like the time when you like actually decide like who you are as a person. Things that are probably going to affect you for the rest of your life. They say
A
your
little bit.
interests are formed during like the teenage years.
I'd say that's true. And I think a little bit of your interest is partially affected friends and just peers at the time, more so than parents, a little bit.
I mean, I think Zach might be able to give us more insight,
Since
considering
he's
he's in that age group. Though.
So I can say, I mean, a lot of my interests, yeah, they have been inspired by the people that I've been around. Um, and a lot of people who have shown me like anime, music, video games, etc., and me just finding out what I like. Um, Personally, being in college, I feel like once you get out of high school and you go into college, okay, for some it might be easier than others, but while I'm in college now, a part of me thinks that like if I would have waited a little bit more time would have been better, or did I start at the right time based on the world around me at that current moment? Because I feel like I'm like, wow, am I too young and my brain isn't developed yet? But also college is one of the most influential things for me because I feel like I've grown the most at somewhat of an accelerated rate. Every year, I find that I am a different person and I am no longer in the same setting, environment, and I'm surrounded by new people. Um, and I mean, I love it. I love that about college is that there is so much growth that happens.
So as you get older, you're gonna learn, you're gonna discover new things and grow from
Oh,
that.
yes. Yes.
College is a great place for that, I would argue. Although I can see why some people would say it's like holding off before going off to college is a good thing as well. You're not fully developed yet. Some people prefer to do that in a different environment than the college experience.
Yeah, I waited a year. No, I didn't wait a year. I took a year off between my sophomore and junior year. And that some first semester back was arguably one of my best semesters. I made the dean's list and I was in the library quite often, just making sure I did well in my classes.
There you go.
Well,
Because I
I
came back ready to go to college. I was like, let's do this.
Mm.
yeah. So I took a year off before I came to college. And in that year, I just worked, I earned money, and then COVID happened, that mess. And so when I came in that August for school, I made the dean's list that semester. It was my best grades. I I felt like I was doing really good with all my classes, and the only problem was I didn't have that social aspect. I was pretty much just in my room, always on the computer, studying. And sometimes I feel like that break or, to just not be in school. By the way, I thought it was crazy that I made the dean's list after not being in school for like more than 2 years at that point. So I was like, wow, like I haven't been like in a classroom, haven't done any schoolwork in like 2 years, and I'm getting this high GPA, you know? So I thought it was pretty impressive for myself. So I think that having that break time can be, really useful.
Yeah, what's interesting is one thing I've heard from a lot of people is how COVID, uh, despite like ruining a lot of like sources of income and causing a lot of stress for a lot of people, the time people had to just like be separated from like everything else, from like societal pressures and social pressures, gave them a lot of time to do like a lot of introspection and allowed them to like actually discover a lot of things about themselves. Like,
Oh, I know people that quit their jobs.
yeah, like they realized that they didn't like the position they were in, so they decided I'm going to do something to change it. I know a lot of people discovered just things about themselves they never knew about or had the time to like explore different things that they have never had the chance to do and realize that they liked certain different things, that they wanted different things with their life, things like that. I feel like we don't, both like college students and really anyone, once they're like in the hustle and bustle of like daily life, don't really have a lot of time to do a lot of introspection or to think really about what they're doing.
No, I mean I've watched some like kind of therapy-esque videos in the last like year or so, and something one of the guys that I watched, he talks about how in this day and age, especially like as a working 20 uh year old, that we never take time to just think like for ourselves. Like we're always on the phone. When I drive, I'll listen to audiobooks. I'm watching TV, hanging out with people. When am I just thinking for myself?
To speak on that, I actually was talking to someone the other day, and they have a yearly trip that they do for themselves. It is just them. They just go wherever they want to. They don't really bring anyone else. Anyone else is welcome to come on their trip, but their trip is for them. And when they told me about that, I was like, wow, that is actually really cool. I really admire the fact that you have decided to take time, about a week for yourself, just to learn to, like one of the things they did, they said they went to like a hobbit house and they learned about different things there. And because they of their practices of their because they're a druid, and I thought that was really cool. And they learned, how to bind books, at different locations. And I think it's really cool when you learn to take time for yourselves to go do something and you show love to yourself because that is an important part of growth and understanding your true colors.
I like that.
I think that's why COVID, and being at your house or wherever you were located, uh, impacted so many people. I mean, obviously, it impacted people in so many different ways, their income, their mindset, etc. But there was a lot of introspection that did happen, and that's why a lot of people either left jobs or they were let go, and so that gave them the extra time to think. So, so, have you guys read or listened to music or played any video games of any sort of media, etc., that you feel like has impacted your life or helped shape you in some way?
Hmm. Gosh. I don't know, Gabe.
I
Gabe,
think I
do you got anything? Oh, go ahead.
yeah, I think I mentioned this like maybe early on in one of the early episodes. I want to say it was the inspiration episode. If you remember me talking about William Blake,
I do.
there's one line in particular that I remember from William Blake, from the poem "Jerusalem, an emanation of the giant Albion," in which loss, which is Blake's like, it's supposed to be like the like representation of man's imagination, its ability to create. He's a blacksmith. He he's building a city, and one of the things he states is like, I must create a system, my own system, or be enslaved to another man. My purpose is not to reason or to compare, but to create. And that to me has always said, I think from like discovering Blake's poetry and also just reading up on like Blake's life, I realized I do not want to like follow other people's like, how do I say, plans or what they think I should live my life as. I've always
Yeah.
wanted to just live for myself and do things for myself without having to worry what someone's going to think about me. Specifically for me, it's always been what my family has wanted for me. I never want, and I realized I don't want to follow whatever they think I should do unless I actually like believe or actually want to.
I think we all relate to that.
Very powerful statement there. Very powerful indeed.
How about you, Anthony? I'm pretty sure you've played like quite a few games. I think you were telling me. Yeah,
Okay,
just
this is like weird slash interesting. I don't even know if this is like a motivational thing or anything. Like Persona 5 has this very important time management thing that you need to learn in this game, where you can do basically 2 things a day. And I'm not gonna lie, it relates very well to normal life because you get done with your day and it's like, well, shit, bedtime's around 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 9 o'clock, depending on when you go to sleep. You can manage to do a couple hours worth of things, but you got to figure out, like, shit, am I just going to go home and play video games? Like, nah, I think I could read a book or something. Like, maybe today and maybe tomorrow I'll play video games. Or
mm,
maybe I just won't play video games this week. It's honestly been decently helpful for time management because I know I read enough books. Like, wow, boom, there goes a stat. Like rank 2 book reading.
don't forget to eat the hamburger to get your guts up.
Yeah, I gotta get my guts up. Uh, get enough social aspects talking to my friends.
Mm.
I don't really know what else. I know a lot of media in which like that describe ways I live or describe social issues, but like I don't really know if there's too many that like describe how I want to live my life.
Mm. What about you, Zach?
So, me personally,
Mm.
I a character, a fictionalized character inside of a movie, I feel like is very somewhat motivating. Master Oogway from Kung Fu Panda. He has quote, "Yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, but today is a gift. That is why it is called present."
Right.
I think that in itself speaks volumes because you really got to cherish the time you have right now. You know, don't stress about the future. Don't make yourself sad thinking about the past and the things you wanted to change. because all you really have is the time you have right now with your significant others, your friends, your parents, etc. And I think that can change the mindset of a person if you think about it like that.
Yeah.
Uh, Also, something else is Spirited Away. There's a quote in that once you've met someone, you never really forget them. Um, I think about that whenever someone passes away or I don't see someone in my life anymore because I think about how the memories just come back to me. You know, how I know them and how I will always know them. Whether they're here physically or not. So those are a couple things that I have grown on me and have shaped my mind.
Yeah. Do you think Spirited Away like it's actually that like I didn't know it had much to do with death. I didn't even realize that.
I watched it
Yeah,
so young, I don't remember it.
yeah,
Kind
I
of
watched it when I was
similar.
young as well, but I I believe it's on HBO Max. That's where I watched it again. There's a bunch of movies on there, but
Okay.
I watched it, and the full quote is actually once you've met someone, you never really forget them. It just takes a while for your memories to return. And I mean, there's different like spirits in there that have died. There's like demon spirits, etc. Um, and I guess that's why and they eventually said it because she forgot her name. Um, and some of the people are interacting with her like they know her, and it's because they do. Um, but it just takes a while for the memories to return. So it's you know.
Nice. I'll have to keep that in mind. Fortunately, I haven't had too many um deaths that affected my life in a traumatic way.
Um, Me personally, I've had closer friends die in my life. People around my age. So that's it's kind of what kept me going.
Nice. That is pretty nice. I see how I actually I don't even know where I was going with that. Nice.
Yeah. Nice.
Nice, nice.
Keep that in there.
Nice.
So, what have you produced anything, whether it be art, a poetry, etc., that you feel like has been introspective?
Like, have we ourselves made
Yes.
something?
I myself, I create poetry, and I feel like I've put myself in my poetry.
Yeah. I haven't. I don't think I've ever read any of your poems.
Oh yeah.
Do you share them
Oh,
usually?
I share them with people. Yeah.
Mm.
Apparently not.
Yeah, probably. To me, I
I
guess.
didn't. I didn't realize. I can share some with you if you want.
Oh yeah, I'm very interested.
I'll certainly
Um,
do that.
Nice.
by like stories or poem, like, and you say introspective. Do you mean like telling our life and like what we want to make of it? Like, what do you mean by that?
I mean, so I kind of like put my thoughts in my poems and like put like my soul into my poems.
Yeah.
Have you created anything that you feel like you put your like a part of yourself in some way?
Yeah, right. I try to write stories, and it's funny too. Is like honestly, I'm like, oh man, these stories aren't that great. Like
Yeah,
I don't know if it's like a writer's dilemma. Gabe could probably relate, but like
I
I
relate
don't like
completely.
half the shit I write, and then I send it to my friends, and they're like, dude, what the fuck? This is like next level. I'm just like, dude, it's shit. What are you talking about? Although so I do like some of my writing. Ain't gonna lie, I'm like, damn, this is like gaming level.
Gaming level, bro.
It's like
I,
one sentence. It's one sentence.
I do relate entirely, and about like wanting to like throw a fucking computer across the screen because nothing on the page looks like it's decent.
Yeah. Um, but I do try to put a high level of effort into writing.
I think.
Just
Sorry, go on.
I was just gonna add after writing, just storytelling in general.
I think we've had a conversation about like what type of things we write, Anthony, and I think I think I mentioned to you once that I've noticed that most of my stories have characters that almost always are trying to run away from something.
Yeah, you
And
did.
yeah, and that's essentially like that that's always like that little piece of me that enters each character is just like wanting to get away from stuff, whether it be like society or people. Mm, I just don't know any other way to like not, I guess, write characters that way.
Analyze it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not something I do consciously. It's something I've realized like after the fact.
I write my characters sometimes like psychological view of like their own perspective and how they feel about things, like a first person of them analyzing other people. And I realized I used to do that.
Hmm.
How the situation, like, oh, I wonder if they would expect me to be late to this party, something like that.
I tend to go with like the third person narrator myself, though.
I've tried to get more into that because I realized apparently like more people do that. I don't know why. Apparently, I was doing first person narration for the longest time. I didn't even know person.
I always found it more difficult because you have to get into the headspace of that specific character. I mean, you have to get in the headspace of any narrator you make, because I think a lot of people forget the narrator itself is a character that you need to take into account.
So you find the hard part getting into the headspace of that like the narrator?
No, of like a first person
Of
narrator.
of getting into the main character. Because I think
Yeah,
that's the easiest part.
I
think the
find it hardest.
hard part, things past that, and well, for one, trying to keep it in first person perspective and not like, because I had accidentally changed it. I saw in some of my previous writing. I'm just like, oh shit, I accidentally wrote in third person here.
I remember when I used to do proofreading for you, I would catch that sometimes. The other thing too is like it's not always necessarily the main character who's being written or who's narrating in first person. It could be a secondary character.
That's true. Yeah. I've thought about that as well. And like I've also something in the second person perspective, but I don't really know what I could do that with the whole you
That
do
is
this, you do that.
that is very difficult to pull off. So Anthony, when you're
But
gonna write the choose your own adventure book,
yeah. I pour my soul into that. That is one I hope to always do because I enjoy it thoroughly. I spend too much time not doing it, in my opinion. But
relatable.
I do spend enough time doing it. Like I am still doing it. Like there's definitely no question about that.
Mm.
Something I always do when it comes to writing is I often like to talk about the moon. I really love the moon. I like the depiction of the moon and the different, like, you can call it Luna, which means, and something else about the moon is that I feel like I can relate to the moon because a lot of people talk about the sun, how bright and happy the sun is, but I feel like the moon really knows me because at nighttime when I'm all alone and it's just the moon, and you could just have someone to talk to, kind of like almost like a best friend in that sense. Obviously, I have a significant other, but the moon has always been there for me, when I've been alone.
I can't remember the last time I saw the sun. I don't think I've been out in the sunlight in a while.
I think there's more to what he's saying with that. Like, I think he's saying in the mood this thing that really helps inspire him to write. The moon, that catches his interest. He's willing to dedicate his time to that.
Yeah, I wrote a poem about the moon. Um, if you allow me to read it.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. It's entitled "The Moon." I think the moon is no different from you and I. Every time I look up at that big dark blue sky with its bright glittering stars, I stand in awe at its presence. Mysterious, but I feel I've known it forever. The glowing essence shows off all of its imperfections. This reminds me that I too can be content with my flaws. Every bump, crater, stretch mark, dimple, pimple, scar, or birthmark. I still can find peace within myself most days. But just like the unlit part of the moon, I occasionally get into a dark place. The way I cope is by being cemented to my bed until nightfall comes. I awake to a sight to behold, for it is my best friend and celestial companion. I never found so much peace with anyone as I have with Luna. I hope one day someone can look at me and feel the same way I feel about the moon.
I was actually clapping. You couldn't hear it. I'm sorry.
No, I was snapping.
Yeah, my mic wasn't picking up it. That was good.
Thank you. Yeah, so that's how
Oh my
that's my
gosh, we have to do a
reflection
poetry
on the
episode
moon.
sometime.
It's not
Oh.
poetry.
Write that down.
I have a little bit written.
Poetry night. It's poetry slam, guys.
Poetry.
Start snaps. Get the snaps. Yeah, I've been writing since like 10th grade, about 9th or 10th grade. I've been writing poetry. I literally would have never done it had one of my friends not pushed me to go to her senior project, which was poetry club, which I ended up becoming like the vice president / president of. So co-presidency.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, for one, that makes me think of how like your peers influence your goals.
Yeah, I mean it's
Like in
impacted
a
my
way,
life.
like I don't think I'd be writing stories if interactions in the same way had not fallen into place for me.
Well, for as long as I've remembered, you've like kind of written stories. I remember writing like there was some story earlier in our life. I remember we were kind of writing together. I had a character named like Zachary Tamaki or something like that. We were all like superheroes or something. It was some crazy story. I'm pretty sure you wrote a while ago, and Ben was a part of it. I'm pretty sure it was a wild story. I can't remember all the details of it, but I did remember uh before we were younger, you did write some stories and have some chapters put together.
Yeah. I actually went back and I read the first page of like the first chapter of that. My God, is it trash? It is absolute shit.
Okay, so you know what I'm talking about, Ben. Good.
I wrote chapter 1. I was like, this is a paragraph. This is a whole paragraph. Chapter 1.
Listen. Some stories do have like really short paragraphs. Okay.
I mean, I've looked at my poetry, and through the years, I've looked at my my younger stuff, and I was like, wow, I've come a long way. I used to not be. I feel like I've gotten better in my writing. So when I look at my younger stuff, and I'm like, I used to suck. What? I used to be so bad at this. What? Why did people tell me I was like good at this? But obviously they told me, and now I'm in a place where I feel like I can write something that I'm proud of because I've often wrote stuff and like we were saying earlier, you're just like, yo, this is garbage. But you show it to your friends and like, wow, you're like generational. You're so good at this.
It's funny too because like sometimes you're just better enough than them to keep doing it.
I can't even look at my old stuff because my handwriting is the biggest thing that has improved over the years, and I can't decipher the chicken scratch that young Gabe used to write.
Can agree. Gabe's writing is chicken scratch. So Zack's.
Oh yeah, mine's. Oh, I don't like to write. I'm not a big fan of writing.
There,
Like physically, I'm so bad.
there is a genuine concern that I may have had dysgraphia when I was younger. If you don't know what that is, that's like whereas that's
Zack
like
had to.
the ability. Sorry, go
I
on.
had an occupational therapist that I had to see for my writing. I saw them for a couple years. I still write pretty bad, but I guess I got better. Oh, I also had a speech therapist, an occupational therapist. At one point, I had a normal therapist. Just talk about things. So I've had issues in my life, guys. It's okay. I'm still a cool person.
It recently was brought to my attention that I also don't hold pencils and pens properly. Apparently,
Oh, maybe I don't either. I'm not sure.
I didn't even know there was a correct way to hold it until
I think we're
recently.
on a non sequitur.
We really are, but it's okay. Apparently, you're not supposed to hold it between your knuckles. I didn't know.
No, you don't.
Well, no one told me that.
Yeah, no, I don't do. People don't do that.
Hold on. I have to pick up. Now everyone's picking up a pen or a pencil right now, and they're like, "How'd they hold it?" Hold on, guys.
Yeah, apparently,
My
no
pointer finger's
one taught me.
balancing on it. My thumb's holding it, and it's resting middle finger right above the knuckle.
And they got me holding a pen. Do you think in former podcasts and future podcasts, you've grown from talking about different subjects? Do you
Yes.
think they've helped you? Okay.
Yes.
Definitely helped us organize our thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely like a big part of what podcasts are: organizing thoughts, getting certain messages out there, finding like-minded communities, which is something that I do hope we get to with our podcast. Find those sort of things.
Yeah.
Antoine, I think we're getting to our closing here.
Thanks, Zach.
Welcome.
Yeah, you're gonna.
This is my podcast now. I own it.
What a great co-host.
You're welcome.
Zack's Introspection and Banter.
Wow, I didn't realize where we were at on time. Holy shit, he's right. I think there was a lot we could have got into, but there's always next time we have you on the podcast, Z Money.
I would love to come back. This has been a good conversation between the both of us and all of us at the same time. I don't know what I'm saying.
Good. Between the both of us. Thanks, Zack. Thanks.
It's just me and Gabe. It's just me. No. Me and my thoughts.
I forgot what I was gonna say. You motherfuckers.
But it was fun having you, Zack.
Yep.
I'm being here. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks for coming on. We can probably finish this. I know there was a lot more we wanted to dive into, and we can maybe bring some more poetry depending on what we want to do with the episode.
Yeah.
I have a vast amount of knowledge on different things, and I have writing, etc. So I'd be glad to come back for any episode that you would want me on. I'm sure I could help. Anyway, so that is Zack on his Introspection and podcast, Banter Podcast. Yeah, Introspection and Banter.
That's
I said. Yeah.
great. Gabe,
Fine,
are
yeah.
you doing the closing or am I?
I guess Zack is doing the closing.
I'm doing the closing now. It's my podcast. I took over. We have a sponsor. What's our sponsor, guys?
Yeah, just make sure you tell them, yes, we're uploading once a month. It's probably going to be the third Saturday. Oh, no. It's going to be by the end of the month.
Yeah, we record on the third Saturday.
Yep, we record on the third Saturday of the month.
Third Saturday. Got it. Okay, guys. See us on Spotify, Apple, YouTube. Recording the third Saturday. So make sure you see a video or if you're listening to it, audio. Anyway, that's it, guys. Thank you for listening.
I've been Anthony.
I've been Gabe.
And I've been your boy Z Money. What's up?
Bye.